Hey crew, it's Biet, and I'm back with another Pitcast. Today we're going to be picking up where we left off last week with Jason from Green Country Agroforestry. He's going to be giving us some of the background and some description on the Hebrew alphabet and some of the meaning behind the words and how we can take some spiritual significance from things like that. If you are unfamiliar with me, if this is your first time finding the Pitcast, if you do not know about any of my unconventional beliefs, there will be several playlists linked underneath the video after the show wraps so that you can get a better understanding of who I am and why I say the things that I do. I do have quite a bit over there to check out. With that being said, we are going to jump in with Jason and hold on, let me get the banner up and then we'll give it over to Jason, and he's going to take us through. We're going to do a recap from last week.
Yay.
And just a brief, this is what we did. Not quite as extensive as we did last time. And then we're going to get into some new material. So, Jason.
Can see you again. Yay.
Thanks for being on. It's good to see you, brother.
It's good to see you, too. Oh, my goodness. You know, I for a long time, had a hard time with people calling me brother. Mainly because it's people that are well-intentioned, but I don't think they actually know really what the meaning of the word is in the proper context, and very seldom do I hear it from someone that I think it actually knows and understands properly. So thank you, brother. For you guys that don't know, that haven't been following this man's channel. Sorry, I'm putting things out of the way. Haven't been following this man's channel for a while. The extent that he has of material that you can go through, that he's reading through, if you would just like to listen to some of these, a lot of the books that are on the shelf behind my back, he's read them out loud for people to listen to. Many of them.
Okay, you're back.
So
I don't know internet or what, but like I lost you for a minute there.
Did I get muted?
No,
I was bragging on you there.
Okay. Well, I'll watch it on the replay.
I was just bragging for the people who haven't been following your channel for a while. You have just this huge volume of things that you've gone through and read out loud. So if you wanted to know what is in a lot of the books that are over here behind my shoulder on that bookshelf, Jeremy's read them, and he's read them out loud, and they're in that extensive playlist that he's got there. There are hours and hours and hours of material that he's gone through, and also while he's gone through it, he's commented on it and made his thoughts known about what he's reading and things of that nature. So there's tons and tons of material. If you need to get caught up, there's loads of it. Anyway, hi, I'm Jason.
Has something for everybody.
Yeah. I'm Jason. I'm the CEO and proprietor of Green Country Agroforestry. I am a obscurely published author, a movie producer, father, and dabbler in the occult, I guess you'd say. No, I guess maybe not dabbler. I don't know how to put this. I've spent 54 years walking around the world, sailing around it and looking at weird things and trying to put together as much information as I could. And I still don't know everything. And part of the launching of the book that is probably going to come out of all of this on my end is going to be a disclaimer that I'm not the teacher and I'm not the master. And that if anything, hopefully we can share a few things that might help you towards your own discovery of truth. And with that, we'll just get started, I suppose. Right? How do you know what's true? We've got to be able to separate this from that, right? This is what the character Aleph means, the separation of, well, this from that, the dividing line between what is and what is not. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's pronounced, well, it's not pronounced. It's not pronounced because it's supposed to be silent. It's like the silence before creation, right? Master, teacher, these are the essential meanings. Wondrous may also be another essential meaning. At one time in the Levant, in the Middle East, the character Aleph would stand for God. or the Lord who is God, without specifying any particular name for a God. You just understood when you mean God as in really God, not little lowercase. Yeah, we have our gods, but I mean the real God. That's it. Aleph is the first character. It was represented in the Phoenician alphabet by a bullhead, but they took the bullhead and they turned it on its side, and you now see it on your keyboard as the character A, Aleph. All right, second character that we cover was Biet. It's the second letter in the alphabet. Aleph, Bet, alphabet. The Phoenicians also did the same thing. This is why, I mean, people did the same thing. A lot of people did the same thing back in the day. Once upon a time, human language was very simple. Lots of basic. And today, whenever we get to today's lessons, you're going to see like very, very primal syllabic speech. Like, oh my goodness, is this what we were doing in the crib? Yeah, probably what we were doing in the crib. Very primitive language, a very primitive way of writing. But they were writing at this time, and we're talking about probably 2,000 to 3,000 BC in Paleo-Hebrew times, at a time closely following whenever they're inscribing things in clay with the stylus. You took a stick and a tablet, and you would press into the tablet with your stick. And this character here, Biet, no, this is not the character Biet. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that later. Forget about the clay tablets and sticks for a minute. We'll cover that when we get to the next character after Biet. Biet means house or dwelling. So if we took, yes,
I'm having trouble.
What's happening?
The feed is not keeping up on my end. Like,
oh, okay.
I don't know that you're having any troubles, but like I keep losing.
All right. Are you watching on YouTube?
I'm not. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't have anything open but the dashboard.
All right. Yeah. Don't worry about it. If you're watching on StreamYard and you're trying to watch YouTube, there's always going to be a lag.
Yeah, but like this is I keep losing what you're saying in real time. Like
okay.
On StreamYard. Like
Mary says
we'll just try and go through it, but like I might miss your cues.
Okay. Okay, Mary says she's got earbuds in. She's listening in. If she hears anything that's weird, she'll let us know.
Okay.
So
I just might miss your cues for the next whatever.
All right. Don't worry about that. We can do hand signals and something. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's my internet. So.
You know what? I never did do the flight deck crew part. I never stood in there. I the only part I ever did was standing out there with a set of chalks. So I'm not fully up on
semaphores,
on my semaphore. Yeah, I know. Shame. Bad sailor. Bad. Okay.
How dare a gunner's mate not know all of the signals? I mean, really.
You're supposed to cross-train as much as possible. Anyway, so here we have Biet. Biet is the word for house or dwelling. It's meant that ever since the very beginning. Bethlehem has had many names, but it's always been Bet, the house of something. And we'll get to the different houses maybe later. All right. Next character up. Do we have the next character up? Or do you want to make Av?
Av.
Av is the word you form from Aleph and Bet. That's Av, father. Father is the master in his dwelling, the teacher in his house. Moving on. Because we got a lot of ground to cover.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
You're going to have to tell me they're not in order in the folder. So.
Okay. Moving on. What was the next one? Ben, we needed to have the character Nun to show Ben. There's Nun. Nun, if you're following on, incidentally, if you load up chabad.org, it's a fairly decent resource for looking at these things independently. So you know, like, yeah, that one. Or is it with a T or a D? I thought it was with a D. There we go.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
I haven't even talked about the DT thing yet, so that's funny. There is a DT thing whenever we get there. It gets too funny. All right, so Nun shows up over and over and over again. If you go to chabad.org and you look at the character, the calligraphy, this is the reason why I like it. is because they have really good calligraphy, and I'd have to borrow their calligraphy without their permission to show it. So I'm just using. This is what the typewriter font looks like. The calligraphy is really pretty. In the calligraphy for Nun, you can see him. He's sitting there like a student, and he's sitting here with his head bowed, and he's sitting there probably cross-legged, and he's got his tablet in his lap, and he's like this. Right? And he's in study. And the meanings that they have there at Chabad.org are for king, rulership, and deceit and fish are their top meanings if you look at the top. And then very, very down, like into the deep bunkai, what they would call the deep understanding or meaning. Bunkai is a martial arts term, by the way. I'm going to jump languages a lot. Sorry about that. I just
do what you got to do, brother.
Yeah. Anyway, hey. Yeah. All right.
Laugh.
All right. Hang on before we go there. Meaning of things. Our Noon, he's sitting in study, right?
Right.
The meaning that they have there at Chabad, one of their main meanings is deceit. It could mean deceit because of what Jacob did and the story about Jacob having attended the school and was supposed to have known the law, but he didn't behave like he did. So I guess we have to assume that Jacob's sitting here in study, supposed to be receiving the law. And he says, yes, I understand, Father. And he goes off and he does anything but. So maybe it means deceit then. But it's supposed to stand for humility because here he is and he's humble. He has his head bowed and he's in study. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now moving on to the final form of Nun is there at the end. That's a straight up and down rod, like a stick, the measuring stick, the rod here that shows us how to behave properly. He's standing upright. He knows how to rule himself. So it's rulership, but not I'm king over you. It's rulership as in I rule myself properly.
Right.
All right.
Another straight and narrow path.
Straight and narrow path. I'm in the line. All right. Moving on. Biet Nun is Ben. The word for Ben.
I have heaven. Is that the same?
Huh? Well, no.
I have been.
Yeah, there we go. I've been work. So we have, this is what we did because you didn't have the other one.
I didn't have.
So we have.
And I looked for them. I didn't remember what I didn't have.
And we have these actually in reverse here. Av is the one on the right, and Ben is the one on the left.
Oh
well,
that makes sense. They write the other way.
Yeah, they write backwards. They write backwards, of course. So Ben is son, Av is father. We have father and son together. You notice that you have the symbol here for house or dwelling, and whenever you have the father and the son sharing the same house, we can show Ibn now. We made a contraction. Yay! Now the way we write Hebrew, not the way we write Hebrew. I don't write Hebrew. This is dead language. I don't like it. The only reason we're doing it is because
other things rely upon it.
Is because other things do rely upon it. And then once we figure out what those other things are, we can go back to using the language that we're familiar with and we use every day. So anyway, hey, look, magic wand. All right. Evan is this word. The B, whenever it does not have a dot in the middle, the dot's called a dagash. Whenever it doesn't have the dot in the middle, it's pronounced with a V sound, but they would spell it with a B. So it's just weird. Ugh. Anyway, Evan is a stone. It's a precious stone. It's a foundation stone. It's a cornerstone. It's a plumb bob stone. It's a smooth balance stone that you might load up into your sling to go kill a giant with. It's all of those kinds of stones. But one thing it is absolutely and definitely not is a rock. Moving on. We covered Lamed, the character Lamed. And this is all out of order, by the way. The first day is I covered characters that you could make words with. If I covered just the first four letters of the alphabet, the Aleph Bet, which were the Aleph, the Bet, then there's Gimel and Dalet. Dalet, yeah. The D with the T, because there's a DT thing. Anyway, if I covered those four, there aren't really many words you can make out of that, and it would be a very boring lesson.
Right.
So instead of doing that,
engaging.
Instead of doing that, we said, okay, let's give you the word for father, let's give you the word for son, and the word for the Lord who is God, along with house and a few other fun things. So that seemed a bit more engaging. So we did that. Lamed is I forget which number in the alphabet, like 14th, I think. If you take Lamed and you flip it so it's one side and the other, you form what looks like an amphora, which is kind of interesting. And I'll talk about the formation of amphora here in a moment. Lamed is the symbol for teacher and learner. And it's teacher and learner, like as I teach, I learn, as I learn, I teach. It's the teaching and the learning experience all together. Anna's saying it's the 12th. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Anna. I mean, I can't remember which one's which. I go out of order. Today we'll cover the last one in the alphabet too. Just jump to the end. I like to skip to the end of the book. Everybody does. And also for the same reason, so we can make some words that make sense.
Right.
So Lamed is as I teach, I learn, as I learn, I teach. Both characters that have anything at all to do with learning. The Aleph, which is the ultimate source of all knowledge, the separation of what is from what is not. And the as I teach, I learn, as I learn, I teach, or the actual experiencing of the knowing of this from that. All together form El. El.
Oh, got that one. Hold on, it's coming.
There we go. So there is El, and this is the ancient Canaanite word for the Lord who is God, but you could also use it for just the Lord, as in the Lord who is the Lord of the land. You could, probably shouldn't, because there are different words for that. But if you did, and you got them confused, and somebody came back later and said, well, every time I see the word the Lord, it must mean God. No, it doesn't.
Unnecessarily.
Not necessarily. It's quite possible. We have a story of Abraham sitting here in his tent talking to the Lord of the one city on the plains of Zoar that didn't get destroyed, talking to him about the evacuation plan for his nephew. Well, that particular Lord has talked to Abraham about borrowing some of Abraham's skills and expertise and maybe manpower to accomplish a certain thing, like getting rid of some people that were very, very bad neighbors.
Right.
And it's not God destroying these two cities. It's the Lord of a certain city on the plain of Zoar.
Very interesting.
Getting to, go look at the original text if you can find it. And here's the problem. You may not be able to find it. There may have been a copy of it in Alexandria when the guy we call Jesus was there, which may be the reason why he comes back to Jerusalem and says, hey, you guys have corrupted the scriptures, because he's looking at what the original was, and they're basing theirs off of a translation from Greek, perhaps, and he knows that this wasn't the original, and he knows that there's been some things done to enforce a certain view of God in the temple that doesn't align with the way it's supposed to be. And so he's speaking out against it, and they kill him for it.
That sounds entirely plausible.
Yeah. And he did leave a lesson. It's still there, but it wasn't in Greek. Okay, so we have El, the Lord who is God. And incidentally, if you think about this one, right? The act of finding out the this from that is kind of, you mess with the bull, you've got the horns.
Right.
So El is very biblical. All right. So now we have El. This is the title. It's not really the name of God. There is no name for God. If anybody told you that they have a name for God, they are a liar. It's not given to man to name God. If you read Genesis, there's a part where man's, given the opportunity to name all the creatures. He names all the creatures. God doesn't give him the opportunity to name God.
Right. Hey, what's my name?
Yeah. Right. Says, what's my name, son? Father. Okay, there we go.
What my name is?
If it says, what's my name, son? I guess it's going to be Father, right?
Right.
Or it might be mother. I suppose it could be mother. But we don't really want to think too much of the primal masculine or the primal feminine as being God. You see, you could get focused on the light so much that you go, that's God. Or you could get focused on the dark so much and think, that's God too. And either one is incorrect. God contains both.
Indeed. In perfect.
Yes, and in perfect balance and proportion and harmony.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. What do we have? We now we've got Yeah, they say modern times they say Hashem. They just say the name because they don't want to say the name. But even that is incorrect, Anna, because there's not a name. Because as soon as you apply a name, you're trying to compress everything that is God into this capsulation that I can have, contain, control, and have dominion and domination of, and that is wrong, because we are not the masters of God. We're supposed to be the servants.
Right.
So even trying to assign the name was wrong.
Yeah, that's us putting something there that doesn't need to be there.
Correct. Yeah. And so in today's lesson, I'm going to talk about boundaries, but I'm only going to establish the very basic minimal boundaries so that you can operate and not get in trouble. Everything else that you do you're going to add to your actual practice or your practice or whatever you do is going to be you. And it's going to be what makes sense to you and your internal architecture and everything else. As a matter of fact, before I get too far down, if you're going in a series of unconventional beliefs, go on Amazon, or is it on Amazon? No, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
you got a Barnes and Noble link. Get this, it's $20. It's $20. It's super thin, super thin. One of the best books you can have on energy manipulation for just learning how to do it. I mean, seriously, the basics. Now, the things that Jeremy has for assigning values, colors, names, and other things to chakras are not entirely the way I think of them. But here's the thing. This is a book called Thunder in the Sky. I'm going to read just a little bit of it. Let me see here. I was looking. Oh, here we go. This is from the Master of the Hidden Storehouse. Just a little excerpt here so you can maybe get an idea. The book is copyrighted, so we can't recite the entire thing for you. But to give you a little in context, what you might be able to get. This is a Taoist classic. And this is the Master of the Hidden Storehouse speaking. We don't know who he is. He's supposed to be maybe a student of Lao Tzu, but we don't know. A lot of these people, they're who they are is lost to antiquity, and that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to celebrate that person. It was the path that you're supposed to be on. And hopefully if they guided you to it, you said thank you and you moved on your way. All right. In something that should be white, blackness is considered pollution. In something that should be black, whiteness is considered pollution. So how do we know what in the world is truly pure or polluted? For this reason, I do not focus solely on the purity or pollution of things. Those whose vision is dim mistake yellow for red and blue for gray. Now, how do we know what we call black and white would not be considered red and yellow by the perceptive? And how do we know what in the world are true colors? For this reason, I do not get lost in the colors of things. And of course, he goes on more in that vein, but you can kind of get the sensation of, I have my internal architecture and my understanding, and it works in the way I've got my inside written. And Jeremy's got his, and it works in the way his is inside is written. Yeah. And probably you guys watching have got the way that works for you. And so the best that we could possibly do is recognize we're not all going to see it the same way, but get as close as we can to an approximation so that we can make ourselves known to each other. Right. And then, then we share the path where we share the path and go, oh, yeah, actually, I went up that wall over there and you went over there. That's cool. Oh, that's a nice broad meadow. I should have gone that way, and we're walking around the same mountain, so to speak. And I some of us, we climb the face, and some of us, we take the goat path, and some of us, we sit by the spring for a while, and we just listen to other people who went up and came down. That's good too. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, we've got 4 letters that we covered yesterday. Now you know what the letters are. If we want to get real quick to heart, I want to do heart real quick because heart is Lev.
Gotcha.
Lev. This is Lamed and Biet together, and by this time you might have an idea about how things are conjugated from basic characters. If you're forming 2 words from 2 characters, Lev is the house of the teacher and learner. right? The house of teaching and
Makes
learning,
sense.
right? But if we were to flip it around and have bit live or bit lamed, bit lamed, it wouldn't make sense. That's not a word. But the lamed would suddenly become the object and the house would become attached to it. Right? So we would probably want to put in something like the word the in between. The word the is represented by a character we haven't learned yet, but we'll get to. It's called he, and it's pronounced ha. And so it would be bet ha lamed if you wanted to say that. Right. And that would be the home of the shepherd, I suppose, would be the way we would say if lamed is the symbol for the shepherd. But of course, this is a word that means nothing. Pay no attention. Just pay no attention. It means nothing. It means heart. Lev is the heart. Now, if you were watching Crowley, oh my gosh, that guy is reaching for it. I mean, I'm not seeing how he's getting what he's getting out of it, guys. I don't.
He really has no clue. Like, he was really just taking some stuff that sounded good, and maybe he put it into practice, but it wasn't effective. And like, it is obvious from the fruits of his life that he didn't know what he was doing, like, at all. And people take him for an authority. Or the video I did today, I mentioned this, and it's not up. It'll go up tomorrow.
Yeah, so many people do.
Like, if it wasn't for the fact that so many people consider him to be an authority, I would quit this study too.
Right.
Like, I would just move over to the Tao. But because there are so many people, I have to finish it.
Right. And the Tao, whenever you get into it, you're gonna like, I read one verse. Yes, this is true. Okay. Oh, the rest of them are all the same thing.
Oh.
Okay, but it's like multiple iterations of getting ways to think of it in different ways,
right,
and
different viewpoint on it as you go along.
Right. Because I guess, yeah, this is a good point where we can hop into Chunibyo. Because we need to talk about Chunibyo. Chunibyo is another Japanese term. It's the 8th grader syndrome, or the middle school child syndrome, and it describes that period of your life whenever you're making the transition between the child that likes to imagine and play, and imagines and plays with other children, where we all get together and we pretend that the monster is real, or that you really do have superpowers, huh?
Still playing games.
Yeah, games. Yep. And the Chuni, the person that suffers from Chunibyo, is the person that's moved to the period of time in their life when they're not supposed to be imagining and playing the games and pretending.
You're too old to read comic books.
You're too old for that. But that's the funny thing, right? Because I can't help it, guys. I have to keep on going back to Jesus. He's just such a really good, and I know he wouldn't want me to say teacher, but okay, fine. He's such a good teacher on this. Is unless you can become like a child, you cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven, and it's a key to understanding, because you see that the child is able to engage that imagination, and say, I'm going to hold this viewpoint of possibility that says it is. And if I have a friend that can be over there on the other side to also hold the possibility that it is, but no, I see it just a little bit differently, but I do see it. Now you have two opposing viewpoints that both see a thing and know a thing is real from their own internal experience, and they've caused it to become real for them.
Right.
This is what children do when they play. If you remember, whenever you were really young and you were playing and you had imagination, you played with other children with imagination, the worlds that you created for yourselves that you did in play were so real that they were magical. If you can do this as an adult, then you understand the nature of the kingdom. That's what he's trying to tell us, among many other things, which hopefully I can cover at least a little bit. Yeah, hopefully a little bit. All right. So, so what happens if you have a heart? You know, we took the words Father and we Son. We made a contraction out of them. I don't really want to do this because it's cheating, but what happens if you have a heart that becomes like a stone? If you have the contraction of heart and stone. Is that leaven? Did your heart become a stone? Is that leaven? Well, I mean, there's a different word. There's a different word in Jewish for leaven. It's called seor. So I don't know, heart and stone. It only makes that word in English, which is weird. It's just weird that way. But also, oh yeah, we weren't online whenever I said this earlier. In German, Leben, Leben, with the bit, but it's with the B instead of the V, means life, to live. Right. So if you have the leaven, a heart stone, we're going to have to get to a few more words to understand what this means, because there's a hidden mystery that we'll get to here in a minute. We've taken our heart and made it like stone, but the life is still in it somehow. Can we make it live again? Maybe we need to consult. Maybe we need to consult somebody that knows something about baking. We're going to have to go consult maybe the mothers and the daughters of the world. They know about the baking.
There you go.
So we'll talk to the mothers and the daughters of the world. Maybe they can teach us something. That's today's lesson. All right, moving on. We'll start with today's letter, which is Mem. Mem is I'm gonna cheat here. I'm gonna pull up Shabbat.org myself and look at it so I can look at the calligraphy. If you guys have the ability to look at the calligraphy, it's cool, because you'll notice really quickly that Mem it's a nun with another character attached to it. We're going to cover that character today. The character is called Vav, but for the moment, just notice that it's a humble nun that has something attached to it that changes its nature. It makes the sound M, and it stands for water. Some people say it stands for Moshiach, but only tangentially, I think. It's only tangentially standing for Moshiach because Moshiach stands for the one who is drawn up out of the water, right? The one who's drawn up. Sargon of Akkad, that his story is I was put in a basket and drawn up out of the water, and it was taken to the house of the Aki, the water bearer.
Wrapped in a bituminous reed basket.
I learned to be a gardener, and the goddess loved all that stuff. All that stuff. So Moses is actually kind of based on Sargon of Akkad, which makes a certain sort of sense if you're thinking in terms of the people of this region are being cobbled together as an artificial nation and being fed a mythology saying you're all members of the same family. They're not. They weren't. Not at all. Some of them may have been, but not all. It was an attempt by the Persians, I think, to make a country that they could administer from afar, and they were using that temple system to do it. Anyway,
makes sense.
That's kind of why,
if you look at it objectively and you don't have those glasses on,
that's why whenever you look at,
makes sense that something would happen.
That's why whenever you look at the allotment of the tribes and then you look at the people who were settled there, and then you realize that the people who are settled there are the tribes. Right. They didn't go anywhere. Most of them did not go anywhere.
That would be better than the story that they told, though.
But the story you're telling, that is my ancestor. I remember him, but I know him by a different name, so it's okay. It's cool. Right. And then this is how it happens. And you go, okay, yeah. By the time we're done, we have a nation. No worries. It's all good.
Yeah.
But it's just, our myths are the stories that we tell each other that make us the people that we are. America has its myths. Every nation does.
They invented a whole new deity when they created this country. Like Columbia.
You did cover that, didn't you? I was like, that's disturbing. Just disturbing. Like America has its own goddess. Go figure.
Yeah, they just created out of whole cloth. And that's just funny to me. Like,
all right,
because everybody's like, well, it's a Christian nation. It's like, well, they kind of did this thing.
Right.
You know?
All right. So we got Mem. Mem stands for water, pretty much. And if you want to look at it this way, there's another character we're going to look at in a minute, very, very, very shortly. And I had to do it this way because of the way the words were going to come out. Otherwise, I would have showed you Tet first. But Mem, if you want to think of it this way, it's kind of like a pot that's been turned upside down and the water's flowing out.
Okay.
So if you see Mem in the middle of the word, the water is flowing. But if you see Mem at the end of the word, the pot's been closed. So you see on the left-hand side, the pot's closed at the end of the word, and the water is now stopped up and it's no longer flowing. And there's a secret to this that we'll get to when we get to Tet. but we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. All right, the word that we're going to form out of mem is N, with an Aleph and a final mem in its closed state. N. And it's pronounced N probably because of Aramaic, maybe Yiddish, I'm not sure. Somebody who's Jewish. See, I'm not Jewish. I'm Ish, but I'm not Jewish because I'm from Aver. So this is, welcome back to the school of Shem and Aver. I'm Aver. Essentially. Where were we at? Ish, yes. Jewish people, you can tell me which one it is. Whether it was Yiddish or Aramaic that gave us the eh for M, because the Aleph, remember, in Av was pronounced with a ah.
Ah.
So if we were going to babble like children, we could go ah va 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 va, and some of us would go ah ba 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 ba, right?
Right.
Every baby does this. Sometimes they go da 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 da, and they also go ah ma 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 ma. Amma, Aleph, met, Aleph is mama, mom, mommy. Just like Aleph, bet, Aleph, Ava, daddy. We're talking like children in the crib here.
Right.
Just like children in the crib. So this is what, if you're running like, why in the world do these phonemes and things go into words and they have meanings and the meanings just connect, even though the languages are different and they're separated? It's because we were all one people at one time before the catastrophe, before the cataclysm, before the Great Flood. It was 9,000 years long, the Great Flood. The Mesopotamian portion of it was the very end of it. That was like 7,000 BC or so, I think, give or take, right? But I mean, from 2100 BC to 7,000 BC, the waters began rising, and they rose worldwide. I mean, it was different parts of the world went under first,
right?
And the Indonesian flood. We were talking about this before we went live. The Indonesian flood, what they're calling the Lemurian immersion, that was the one that happened just before the Mesopotamian occurrence. So, I mean, yeah, the people in Mesopotamia, if they were paying any attention at all, they had to have known it was coming. So you have stories about being warned ahead of time to build boats, and they did. They had so many stories over there about how they were warned and how they built boats and how they survived.
Yeah, and there's so many different stories of.
And yeah, there's
build a boat.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
And it wasn't just rain. That's the other part that people don't pay attention. It was the waters from above and the waters from below.
Right. Yeah. So because the waters were coming in over those areas that had formerly been dry land in between bodies of water. So essentially the wells, the lakes of the world overflowed.
Right.
The wells overflowed. That was in there, remember? Yeah. The lakes are the wells. Also, these words, like they use the word for one of the rivers surrounding Eden. Whenever we get around to Eden, we'll get more detail. One of those, they're describing the Indian Ocean as a river.
Interesting.
Right. But
like that would be a
once upon a time, whenever there was more dry land, maybe this is a river. Maybe,
yeah, but I mean that would be very significant change. Like, I believe that. Like that, I did the 12,000 year disaster cycle.
Yeah, I mean the continents have risen.
That fits perfect.
Continents have risen in the last 12,000 years. The change in North America is dramatic. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, really, North America has changed so dramatically that what we have is a desert. I mean, not too long ago, 100,000 years ago, you could hop in a boat and get across.
Right. Well, where I'm at right now here in Louisiana used to be underwater.
Yeah.
Like the entire Mississippi River Valley pretty much was once underwater.
From here in Oklahoma, Oklahoma is the edge of what was the Appalachian subcontinent. And it had slammed into the Pacific Rim and the islands on the Pacific Rim, what we call California. It slammed into that about 55 million years ago. And then slowly it began folding under. and that crust has gone underneath, and it's now actually somewhere around the East Coast.
Right.
The continent's kept on moving. They used to call America Turtle Island. The natives called it Turtle Island.
Yeah.
And the story was, and it was in antiquity too, in the Far East, about an island where the inhabitants, they knew of this place, lived on the back of a giant turtle. Can you imagine? It's so fantastic. Who would believe such a thing?
Right.
If you're in America, you're living on Turtle Island. They're talking about this place, and they're talking about the geology and the fact that the continent drifts. But how they knew means they must have had a bit of technological understanding in the past, guys.
Well, and then that's like the zodiac and the progression of the equinox. Like,
right.
In order to understand that takes 1,000 years.
Exactly. When did you sit still long enough to watch the horizon to see the change?
Yeah.
Somebody did.
1,000 years.
Somebody did. And not only did somebody do it in antiquity, but they've forgotten when it was.
Yeah.
They were so long in antiquity, they've forgotten when it was. But then again, it doesn't take long to forget.
No,
here in the United States, it's 200 some odd years, and we've already forgotten that the United States was founded as a constitutional confederacy of 13 sovereign nations.
That is true. That is true. But we have found our strength in the republic.
And people forget. It's like, wait, it was? Yeah, it was.
And
honestly, whenever the War of 1812 happened, what was
50 independent nations?
George comes over in the War of 1812. Why is he coming over? Didn't he sign a treaty with the Treaty of Paris in 1783? Well, yes, he did. So why is he coming in 1812? Because it's a different country. It's not the country he signed the alliance with. So he goes, no longer the country I signed the alliance with. We're going to try again. And he did. Didn't work, but he tried. Anyway,
that and the English are a little bit duplicitous. So there is that.
Never discount English duplicity. Okay.
But like, we are supposed to be 50 independent nations acting in concert, like right now.
Right.
States' rights are supposed to be a thing. We're not supposed to be one conglomerate, everybody exactly the same. We're supposed to be 50 different countries acting as a republic.
Well, that would be a confederacy.
Well, I mean, that's also a republic by definition. So
it just depends upon how much power you give the central governing authority. Under the Confederacy, the central governing authority had no authority because the states retained all their power.
But then you don't have any enforcement powers for any of the regulations. Like we're getting sidetracked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then we're good. Yeah, if we do this too long, we're going to be discussing Federalist versus Anti-Federalist papers.
Right.
And that goes back and forth for a decade, and we never resolve anything. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Let's go to the end. Amen. There we go. Amen. What in the world is this? It's Aleph Met
Father, Mother, Son.
Aleph Met Nun. So we have the dividing line between this and that is a modifier upon the waters, that a ruling of the waters by that which divides this from that. Is this essentially God has spoken? Is this another way of saying God has spoken?
Yeah. God, the flowing waters, and the upright man. Or the upright student.
Is that I suppose that's a way we could put the. I mean, we're looking for meanings in these characters that come together as we're putting them together and going, the characters have meaning. You can form words. This is cool. Clunk clunk. And then now it's like an erector says, it's like, what if I flip it around and do it the other way? Oh, cool! It makes a word that way too. But it's not a word that we recognize in Hebrew, but it is a word that we recognize, right? Because we know. We look at it and go, oh, thump thump. The house of teaching and learning. I'll call my son out. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Okay, I got it. All right, moving on. Now we have Amen. We've got another word we need to get. That's Teth. There we go. Where's Teth at? All right, Teth, if you're following along at kabod.org, has got some very, very lovely, and I mean lovely calligraphy here that shows us Tet. Tet is good, or it could mean very good. And the reason it means very good is it's related to Genesis, actually, and what God says after everything is completed, particularly the creation of man. See, God says everything is good after everything is created. Everything. Except whenever he finishes creating man, he says it's very good. So man's very good, not good.
Right. Not just good, but
Not just
very
good,
good.
but very good. Very good. But very good in what is the important part. Because if we look at the calligraphy, you can see what looks like this vessel, because Tet is also a vessel. It's a vessel of clay that contains goodness within. So this is why it's good. But it is also like the amphora, because we're going to take the amphora and we're going to write within it, to
Right.
write the word within it to make it good, or to make what's within it good, like they would used to for a spell, to make the contents in the amphora remain pure. Not that actually worked, but that's what they did. It's because that was their magical thing.
You
He says,
never know.
I have to write the instructions. I have to write the instructions. The liquid within this container shall remain in whatever condition, and they write it in the clay, and they make the jar, and then they shape it, and it's done. And you put your liquid within, and hopefully it stays good. But if it does, you can say the spell worked, and if it doesn't, well, maybe I misspelled something. But that's
I left the vowel out somewhere.
Well, yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, that's not. All right, so Tet, it's the pot with the goodness, or the basket with the goodness within, and the goodness is better seen in the calligraphy. If you're looking at Kabbat, and I know you probably looked at it. It doesn't that look like the child, the Nun, kind of laying on his back, upside down? And Mary, can I borrow your chair, please? Mary bought this. She didn't intend to get this, but it's just so cool. Mary, may I borrow your chair? You'll see in a minute.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
It is a good correlation too.
You'll see it. Because this is the pot of goodness, right? That holds, let's see, I need one straight on this side, and then one. We have this pot of goodness here that's going to hold something special within. And the special thing that it holds within, let me see, does that look like it?
90.
Do a 90 degree. Flip it 90 degrees. Hang on.
Or 180, yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
And now rotate
it around the other way.
Yeah.
Rotate it around the other way.
All the way around.
All right. So this is called a kneeling chair.
There you go.
And oddly enough, the character that is made with the kneeling chair, whenever you hold it up, is Nun. Okay, fine. But if you turn it around,
this way.
Is it that way? Here, let me look at the calligraphy real quick here. The kneeled head is, or the bowing head is off to the right. Is that to the right on your view? Or do I have it exactly backwards? Yeah, it's off on the right. Yeah, looks like a fish to her, she says. Well, Nun, one of the other meanings of Nun was fish, but we didn't cover that before because it wasn't important. One of the other meanings for Nun was fish. The Nun was the humble child. The Nun at the end of the word is the one who knows how to stand upright. And Nun within Tet, now that you can see it, the hidden goodness was the child within. Okay, you can go sit back down. Thank you. Appreciate you. So hidden within, the goodness hidden within was the child that was hidden within, who is the very good thing that was created, formed of the dust of the earth, a clay vessel with the breath of life breathed into it. Now, this is kind of cool. If you're working in the garden and you go out to your garden and you don't have a garden like mine, and you reach down and you pull up a handful of earth and it's got a lot of clay in it. We have a test for you to determine how much clay you have in your garden. I'm going to talk about gardening stuff. It's fun. You take a handful of earth and you roll it like this, and if you can roll a snake out of it and it holds together and it stays in one piece, you have a fairly high clay content, and you're probably going to want to add some organic matter. It's not going to drain as well as it should, right? You'll get puddling, and then stagnation, and mosquitoes will gather, and stuff like that will happen, and you'll have like fungus pop up, and you need to get more.
Whenever I had my wreck, that's the job that I was doing, was construction materials testing, and I was actually determining clay content in the soils was my job. And doing Atterbergs, which is making the snakes, and
so you're doing slump tests and all that other good stuff. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you know about this. Yeah. So if you get your earth and you roll it and you make a snake, great. You've got a snake. Now, we could stop there, but why? We're going to wrap the snake around and make a coil with the snake, and that makes our vase or our bowl or our container or our vessel. And this is the way they used to make amphora. Whenever I was talking about the other day, I was talking about how they did it eventually. Whenever you got to the more advanced stage and people knew what they were doing, they had a form that was exactly the same on both sides. And incidentally, they do this in India right now with disposable teacups. The coolest thing. They'll roll out a sheet of clay really thin, and then they'll put it over this mold and tap it a couple times so it falls down into the mold, and then cut off the surface, and then pour, let it harden, bisque harden, and then fire it real quick, and you've got a disposable teacup, and they can make dozens of them. And you use it a couple of times and throw it away.
Huh.
And they're still using clay like a plastic, which is kind of cool. They did that in South America in the Amazon too. They use clay like.
And you can recycle clay better than you can plastic.
It depends. I mean, if you crush it up fine and rehydrate it, then you can. But that you have to crush it. You crush it up and then sift it out and then rehydrate it to make it back into a clay.
Yeah, it's got to be fine.
So there's work involved, but people were using clay the same way we use plastic nowadays in the ancient world, which is kind of cool. In any case, you take your coils that you've got that you've made out of clay, and if you're knowing how to engrave and write, you can write on the coil whatever spell you want to enchant your vessel with.
Right. To keep out the boogies.
Keep out the boogies. And I just want you to have that picture in your mind right now of somebody forming an amphora with coils of clay and inscribing on the coil on the inside, not on the outside.
Right.
On the inside. And now whenever the amphora is made and the vessel is fired, that writing has now been made permanent on the inside. It's hardened. And it can't be changed.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We got Tet. Did I have anything that we need? All right. Yep. Next letter, Vav. I had to draw it this way because I didn't want it to look too much like the final nun. The final nun, whenever it's seen, it goes down below the line. Vav stops at the line. So Vav, in calligraphy, or if you're looking at Vav, it doesn't look like this. It looks kind of like almost like a little 7, but then again, everything looks like a little 7. It's annoying. Like how do we tell the difference between these characters? I mean, really, you got 3 different ways of writing them. Different meanings for Vav. First off, Vav never has the ah for a pronunciation. It's always O, and it's O if it has the dot over it. It might make a V sound, and presumably it makes an oo sound at some point, also in some other word, but not in any of the words we're going to be covering today. The meaning is a hook, but it's not just a hook. It could mean a hook like a tent peg to anchor you to hold your tent down. But usually it means like a connection to higher dimensions, a hook that connects you to the heavens. It can mean the word and, if you see it by itself. So just Vav by itself is and. And if you see it in front of a word, it transforms the past tense into the future tense, or it turns the future tense into the past tense. So
that's not confusing at all.
It's not the least bit confusing at all. And remember, of course, if you're writing in Paleo Hebrew, there aren't any punctuation marks. It's just the way you drew it. And it's however the guy who drew it decided to draw it. And you have to know what it is based upon the context of the letters that are around it. Good Lord to help you. Nobody is going to be learning how to read or write this language anytime soon. Probably the reason why it's now a dead language. All right, let's make a word. Can we make a word? Do we have a word? Yeah, we can make a word. Let's make the word tov. Tov. Oh. There we go. We have tet, vav, and bet. Tov. Like mazel tov. We've heard mazel tov before, right? We've heard that word before. Well, actually, this one is going to be for a very important word and a very important use. Because remember last week I talked about even being stones, being alignments. Being right. Alignment between father and son, or because we're egalitarian here, parent-child. If you want to know the good God, be kind. That sounds simple. In practice, practicing cultivating kindness is a lifetime of work, and it isn't easy either.
No, it's not.
It is not easy. And there are things that we can do to help, which is why I'm going to give you another alignment. 2 points of reference is better than 1.
Always.
And really, there's 4. But that's going to get deeper into praxis later on. We'll get into that. Yeah.
Okay.
They're a little bit too early for that, but we'll get to that later. Because we're gonna talk about both snakes and both sides of both snakes. All right. Tov, tet, vav, vet means good. It starts with goodness itself. The tet, the vessel of goodness, contains the very good thing, the child. But that's the modifier, right? The modifier for the what is this? The house that connects to the higher dimension. So we have house connecting to a higher dimension that is defined as being good.
Sounds like God's house to me.
Okay. So, I mean, it's like, how good can good get? I don't know. Tov. There we go. It's Tov. And El Tov is the Lord God who is good. If you wanted to say God is good, it is El Tov. El Tov is God is good.
Makes
God
sense.
is good. El Tov. There we go. Congratulations. Now you know how to say something in Hebrew. El Tov. If this is the only thing you know,
Hey,
this is
that's
the
a
only
good
thing
place
you
to
know.
start.
You are golden, guys. You are golden because
God is
everything
good.
else can come from this. Everything else can come from this. So you could abandon Hebrew today and just go with the language you're in. God's good. That's all you need to know.
God is
All right.
good all the time.
All right. God is good all the time. That sounds like summer at what is that, Rain Tree Homestead? Next character up is called Ayin. Ayin doesn't make any sound, incidentally. Ayin is yet another one of those annoying letters that develops a vowel sound depending upon what's attached to it. And it's funny because it's attached to something as well. If you're looking at the calligraphy, it doesn't really show in this font, which is why one of these days I'm going to have this written out in calligraphy so you can really see it. But it means eyes and it means salvation in a certain context. But if you're looking at the calligraphy, the form is of Nun in study. You know, the humble guy in study, his head's down, he's got his tablet in his lap, but there's a Vav jumping up in between his book and his head. So in between his book and his head, there's a Vav connecting him to the higher dimension. What is this? It's his eyes looking up to see the heavens. Okay, it's his eyes. So there we have Ayin. There's the eyes. I look up. There is my salvation. There's the connections. All right. So there's the character. Ayin. We have Ayin and Vav, and we have Tet. And I think we can come up with another word here, and it's Olam. Olam is Ayin with the Vav with the little dot over that, which tells us that's supposed to make the O sound. But of course, in Paleo, it wouldn't be there, and you just have to know, and good luck. But then there's Lamed that makes the L, and we have the final M for the Olam. And it's interesting because now we can talk about the final M. We know that Tet is the goodness, and it's the pot, the container. Whenever the pot and container has water and it's closed, the water stays good. How long does it stay good? Well, I can take a look with my eyes and connect with the learning of how this water in this vessel closed stays good for a very long time, can I not? Okay, Olam, eternal. El Olam, God is eternal.
God is eternal.
Here are our two alignments, our two precious stones, our two even, the two alignments between the parent and child principle. If God is good, I shall be kind. If God is eternal, then I should do so with diligence. If you can do just these two things, you establish the basic two boundaries. We've got the word boundaries now halfway here because I think we're going to go more than an hour, if you're okay.
That's good.
All right, so boundaries. Boundaries are important. Boundaries tell us what is and is not in our garden. It's important to know what is in our garden, what is out of our garden, because you don't want to go weeding outside of your garden, pulling up somebody else's trees and vines and bushes and plants, and maybe that was their vegetables that they were planning on eating, or they had a reason for growing that particular plant. You go weed it out. You need to know what's in your garden and what's outside of your garden, so you aren't destructive to other people and their gardens. You need boundary walls to keep destructive elements out of your garden as well. So boundaries are important. In a tree, you have boundaries. The tree has boundaries. If you cut a tree in half, you'll notice it has a couple of boundaries. And so we have 2 boundaries. I'm going to go ahead and use a tree for 2 boundaries. If you're doing more magic, you have other things that you can use, but they're oriented the same way as in whenever you cut the tree off. In this horizontal orientation, you're going to look down and see the tree and see the boundary. Right. The same way you'd look down at the ground at your feet and see your pentacle or your pentagram or your octagon or your whatever it is that has the things that you need to look at to remind you of what the principles are that you're aligning yourself with. Because it's not the precious stones like the diamonds and the gems and the rubies or the jaspers or the sapphires or the azurites or the chalcedonies or the lapis it's not that. And it's not the physical metal gold that you're supposed to be doing. The precious stones are to remind you of alignments, and the gold's to remind you of the golden light from the land of limitless light, so that whenever you're attuning and drawing, whenever you do get to practice, the light that you're envisioning, if you're able to envision a light, is of the right frequency and not something that might be harmful to you.
Makes sense.
The gold will always be good. The gold will always connect you to God who is good, which is why it's good gold and why we look for secret. And it's the reason why we talk about the alchemization to the good, to the gold, and seeking the good. This is the reason why the conjuring room is inlaid with gold, is so that you can see the gold before your eyes. So that whenever you're envisioning, when you get to the practice part, we'll get to that later, but whenever you get to the practice part, what you're pulling in is going to be that frequency. That's the reason for it. And if you know that that was the reason for it and you can envision it for yourself, you don't need gold. But if you do need some help, then you can polish some copper. You can get some gold paint these days.
Right.
You should do some things these days that you couldn't do once upon a time that will be able to help you with that visualization. You don't need to spend a lot of money to do this. You don't need to spend anything, only unless you need the help. Because if you need a walking stick, get a walking stick. There's nothing wrong.
I use notes.
I mean, people need tools because not because you need the tools, but because they're useful. Yeah,
right.
Because they're useful, because they may help you with the focus, because they may help you with the teaching, because they may help you understand something. And this actually helps me pull branches down so I can prune them and gather fruit from high branches. It's not really a shepherd's set. But it is good for a teaching aid, so it works. Where were we at? We talked about amphora. Yes, we talked about. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about amphora. We were talking about boundaries.
We're talking about boundaries. Okay. Yeah. You do not need to have a complicated set of boundaries. If we're going to be talking about boundaries, let me get my cousin's business card off of there. I need to talk to her about setting up bookings, appointments, and tours and everything else whenever we get around to doing this like full scale, Jeremy. The pieces are out there. We just have to put them together.
I know. It is.
I need a crew to accomplish anything. Obviously, I can't do all the presentation myself. Apparently,
right.
I only do a little tiny part of it. There's one thing I do really well, and I can't tell you what it is because that would be bragging. But everybody has their strengths, and finding everybody's strengths is what makes it all work. So this is
that's true. Everybody has a part to play.
This is Havamon.
Separately, I call the people the crew, and this has come up in conversation over on Discord, but I call my crew the crew for many reasons, but the main one is because a crew is a group of people acting in concert together. Everyone has their own roles. Everyone understands their roles, and they work in the appropriate way to accomplish the goal.
Correct.
And that's why it's the crew.
That's a crew. Exactly.
And as opposed to a community. Because a community can have a diverse goal set. Whereas a crew has a goal. There is something we are working towards.
Right. And of course, it's an all volunteer crew.
Right? Good.
Yep. If you want to bail like Hercules, go for it. Don't
Yep.
need you. Just need him to get the boat started. That's all. Uh, all right. Havamal, oddly enough, Thor Heyerdahl did a lot of work during his career. He's an archaeologist. He's very famous for the Kon-Tiki expedition, where he made a balsa wood raft and sailed across the Pacific in it to test out the theory that the Polynesians might have been able to do what they said that they did, which was cross the Pacific in these sort of boats.
Right.
But he also investigated the origins of the Norse mythology. And he tracked the origins of the Norse mythology to the foothills of the mountains of Ararat in Azerbaijan.
Interesting.
And it turns out that the breath-stirred tree, bad translation, huh? Windy tree, windswept tree, breath-stirred tree that Odin hung upon for 9 days is very, very familiar, very, very familiar indeed to those regions. And we'll get to that in a couple more episodes. It's all coming together. It is. It's all
things work.
They're all coming together in the same spot. We're like, oh, okay. There was something. We're going to talk about Utgard, Ingard and Utgard. Ingard is within the walls, and Utgard is without the walls. This is in Norse, right? I'm jumping into language here. What is within the boundary and what is without the boundary, right? Whenever they were talking about places, you have Heim and you have Gard when you're looking through Old Norse mythology. Heim is the home of, the house of.
Right.
Alfheim is the Aleph Heim. Aleph Biet.
Yeah. I got the reference.
Got it?
Yeah.
Aleph Biet. Alfheim is Valhalla, if you know where to find Alfheim. Okay.
Interesting.
Isn't that?
Yes.
Isn't that? Like, these people were connected very, very, but the story does say it was. It just says that Eber went beyond the rivers. It doesn't really specify where. It's just assumed that he stayed in Mesopotamia. There's a possibility that mountain is called that for a reason. But that's just what it's called. As far as I know, there's nobody there. There's no Avers on the mountain. It's just
right.
It's just a placeholder for a name now. It's just crazy. Anyway, so we have Untgard and Uthgard. We're going to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are important. You have to know what is in your garden, what is out of your garden. These alignments keep you safe. The fences keep you safe. The walls keep you safe. The boundaries keep you safe. They keep things that don't belong in your garden out of your garden. You see? Yeah. If my alignment, parent to child, is God is good, I am kind. God is eternal, I do so with diligence. And anything that wants to come enter is crossing these boundaries that doesn't agree with it, I can say, no, you don't belong here. No, sorry. You're telling me that you're telling me, one, that you're eternal and I already know you're not God. You say I'm the beginning and the end. You're a created thing. You're inside here.
Right. You're in the middle. You can't be
You're
outside.
A created thing. You're not God. Anything that says I am is in fact not God. It is a created thing saying I am. Yeah. It's a viewpoint. Now, God does have multiple viewpoints. This is true. That's the only way anything can be rendered into a physical, because you have to have somebody who says, yes, it is, and somebody says, no, it isn't. And somebody says, I see it, but I don't think it's like that. And the combination of the different viewpoints renders it into physical reality. The more somebody is convicted, the more they're convinced that it's real, the more solid the thing is. So you need people with conviction, and you need people that don't believe too, in combination. But you don't want to be too far, too far up here in the light, and you don't want to be too far down there in the pit either. You want to be somewhere in the middle.
Balance, Padawan.
You have to have balance. You have to have balance, because if you're too close to the light, it's too bright and you can't see. If you're too far away from the light, it's too dark and you can't see. And you don't want to be wandering around blind, because if you wander around blind, you fall into a pit that's horrible. Hey, all right. Boundaries. So other boundaries that I would recommend, and I'm just going to recommend these. You don't have to take this as gospel, but you may find them useful, and you may want to define them according to your own internal architecture as well, because what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. Go look at my documents real quick here, because I put it in this folder, because I can never put anything. I can never put anything in the right spot. The files for the book are in different places. All right. So we already know, because God is good, I'll be kind. This is hard to do.
It is.
Now I say, as God is, so this is the light, right? If we're saying this is the light, God is good, but remember, that's not true, right? That's not true. The light is not good.
Right, it's only close to good.
We are just using this as a way. Remember what the keeper, master of the hidden storehouse said. You don't want to get mixed up. We're just using it as a placeholder for the understanding that's to come. If you lock onto the light is good, you're going to be deceived. This is the reason why I can't tell you this, but I talked to Pitt about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? The way you actually know. The thing you have to do if you really wanted to know. You have to go there. I can't give it to you.
Right. You have to experience it.
You have to experience
it. No way to give you an experience.
It would be, I guess, for slang terms, a Merkaba descent. You have a Merkaba ascent. You see the beginning. You see the light. The Merkaba descent. You see the darkness and you see the end. Right. Both are important to understanding. All right. So we have God is good. I'll be kind. This isn't easy to do. God is eternal. I'll be diligent. This isn't easy to do either. Diligence is where I fail almost every time, because I get distracted easily. So you have friends, you have partners, they help you, and you have other stones, guide stones that help keep you within, and things to remind you. So boundaries, there is a reason for them. There is a reason to have things to remind you, physical reminders why you need to have these things, why you might want to have that pentacle or a diagram of a tree or an icon or a thing. But don't get the idea that the thing that's there to remind you is the holy object.
Right.
It's just a reminder.
The tools have no power. You have to give them power.
Well, and you don't even want to give the tool power, because once again, you're taking what is your own ego and your power and you're giving it to something else and saying, use something else, execute my power.
That's why I advise against enchantment so much. But
like,
there are enchantments because this is an enchantment. I have written spells inside of this book which will lead you to be able to find the path that I have taken. And that is an enchantment. So you have to be intentional in your enchantments, because anything that you write or speak aloud is a spell. So, and anything you make permanent, you really have to be careful with.
Right. Yeah. If you're gonna fire that clay and make it permanent, it's very, very difficult to remove it. It can be removed and it can be rewritten. The process we'll get to later, but you have to soften the clay in order to erase there and smooth it and then rewrite.
Right.
And you do it strip by strip and coil by coil, rebuilding the clay pot so that it can be made whole again. And I guess we could talk about, sure, why not? The American Southwest tradition, whenever a person dies, they take a pot and they put a hole in it to symbolically kill the vessel. Part of the burial rites, kind of carried on from that time that we were all one people and we didn't get on boats and travel around the world to see the world and go get in mischief. But the idea is the vessel, if it's remade with the proper word inside of it, becomes made anew. And I think we need to cover our next word for that. But before I do, I was going to share the 5 other alignments, 5 smooth stones. Okay. You could say 5 evanim, 5 alignments that you could have between yourself and parent principle to know the God that we're talking about, the real creator. So we say that if we're going to imagine this thing that is our creator, this is the creator that's the source of all knowledge. So what is the reflection of the parent that is knowing? And the word I chose was patient, because if the parent does know everything and you do remain open to listen to what the parent has to teach you, then in time you will know everything that the parent can teach you as well. So that's why that's the reflection. So that's one more alignment, knowing and patient. If the creator is powerful, the Almighty, the source of any power, anything that can be done, the creator can do. The reflection for the child, I think, should be humility, because the child has not grown to that power. And to know the child's place, the child has to remain humble. If the child thought of themselves as having risen above the source of the water, go ahead and top off my tea if you don't mind real quick. Right? So if you got the child who's receiving, Kabbalah incidentally means to receive. If the vessel that's receiving is higher than the source of the water, well, it's not going to get anything. It has to come down below for the vessel to receive the water, right?
Yeah.
So
the number one rule of plumbing.
So the power flows to the humble. There's your alignment. Next alignment. Tough one. We want to say that our creator, the God, the real God, is faithful, never changes, always the same. Same God today as it was yesterday, same creator, right? Yesterday as it was today, will be tomorrow, eternally, because we're gonna say at the end that God is eternal. So if God is eternal, then God's pretty much gonna have to be faithful all the way through and forever. There's no end. But what is the reflection of that for the child? If God is faithful, if God is unchanging, if God is going to be keeping God's word truthfully and honestly in perpetuity, what does that mean about us? How do we reflect that? And in my thought, that reflection is temperance. And by temperance, we're not talking about avoiding drinking alcohol, but we're talking about balancing of the passions and seeking that middle path, not being too merciful, to what happened? What? Oh, it froze. Where did I freeze at?
Hopefully it comes back.
Huh?
Disappeared.
Are you able to hear me now? Oh, he
I can
froze.
hear you, but
Oh, no, that's fine.
okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Sorry, she's worried. The producer just minimized his screen so that you could look at me.
Oh.
All right, that's all. Don't worry about it. All right, it's good. We're good. We're good. Whenever it's time for him to come back, he'll come back. Where were we at? Okay, same God today, tomorrow, the next day. We need to balance the passions. Balancing the passions, not giving away too much, not taking too much, not being too angry, not being too merciful. Temperance, balancing of the passions, because God is faithful. Maybe that's right, maybe that's not right, but that's just what I'm working with, okay? Maybe it'll make more sense when we get to opening and closing of the gates, because there's another alignment with those. All right, next alignment is perfection. Is God perfect? Well, the light is not perfect. The darkness isn't perfect. The creation may not be perfect? Maybe it is. But I can't see all of it, so I don't know. God said all was good. I guess we'll take God's word for it. God's perfect. Well, if God is perfect, but I don't see everything with perfect clarity, I have to be sincere about this and say, well, I can't tell you the absolute truth. I can't. I can get close, but I can only see things from my own point of view. What is that? We're going to have a rebooting. So, yeah, we'll see. As Mary, just let me know if we're going to keep on working whenever the feed actually freezes up, then I'll pause.
I got lag. Sorry, I got lag.
You got lag? Okay.
But YouTube is behind you.
Right, but it's still streaming. We're still cooking, right? All right.
So I turn so you see it.
All right. So whenever Jeremy reboots, if there's a disruption, just let me know. Okay. All right. Yay.
Everybody's like,
We're cooking with gas. All right. God being perfect, I must be sincere. Right? And I want to say I must be honest, but in all sincerity, I can't be honest. Because I know that everything that I can possibly see within this space of the beginning and end is only an approximation and a close thing to the truth. Close, but not absolute. Because it's close and not absolute, remember, you can't look at another person with condemnation and say, well, you're wrong and I'm right, because unless you really know enough of what their understanding is to know how they are wrong, you've got no business telling them that they're wrong. Right? Okay. So, because God is perfect, I'll be sincere. And then the fifth alignment. And if you've got these and you know that God is good and you know that God is eternal, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to knock down the giant with the first throw. But because God is complete and lacking nothing, you see, in this place, in the render, when everything is almost but not quite something, and God is in God's entirety is not, we don't see complete God. And this is the reason why you can't point at anything and say, oh, there's God. Then God would be complete and you're pointing at God. This doesn't happen. God is complete beyond this existence that we understand. And since we are in this particular existence, holding a separate point of view with other people that are experiencing lack, the reflection of the completion of God is being charitable. So if I have something that I can give to my brother who lacks, that is the reflection of the completion of the Father that I am in alignment with, if you understand. So no one knows the Father but the Son. No one knows the Son but the Father. Now that you know what these alignments are and what the things that you place at those positions around your summoning circle, in the Magen David, in the diagram that you draw on the horizontal plane here at your feet whenever you look down, and up above you whenever you look up. I don't know which you want to put down at your feet and which one you want to put up above you, because I don't know what your internal architecture is, and I don't know what you need to remember most. Perhaps ego is a big problem for you, and you need to remember humility. So where you put that word is going to be a place where you see it most. And maybe it's you put the word powerful here at your feet right in front of you, so you remember that God is powerful. And whenever you look up to the correspondence, you look up to God to receive, and you say, God, I will remember to be humble. Maybe this is what you do. Or maybe it's different for you. I'm not going to tell you how to arrange your inner architecture, how you should write that. I'm only going to give you the pointers to make sure that the boundaries that you do set are the ones between the God who is good and the God who is eternal. Everything else that you do should only be to help you and more define that garden wall, what is within and what is without, and to keep you safe. And that's what the boundaries are for. That's what the Seal of Solomon is for. What the Seal of Solomon is really for. It goes on the floor of your conjuring room, and its writing is on the floor and on the ceiling, above and below. So you can unite what is above with what is below through the conduit that is you, the person who is teaching and learning, through the heart, which should be temperate and a balance of might and mercy. So you have are alignments and connections, and then you might have an inkling about the tree itself and why the cross is the tree and the tree is the cross, and why someone said that one must take up their cross and follow. He's not talking about your trials and tribulations specifically. He's talking about something else, and something very important that you kind of missed if you translated this into Greek. So let's see. Do I have other words? Is Jeremy back yet? Mary, is Jeremy back yet?
Sorry, I'm here, but it's important.
Is Jeremy back yet?
No, I was looking for like maybe a little live to reboot.
Okay.
So you have to log off and back in?
I don't know.
So what happened to me?
I don't know. Well, we're live right now.
Whose stream are you using?
We're on Jeremy's. I'm going to go look at my email. Bear with us, guys. We're going to look at our email and see if we got another link. No fresh link. I think Jeremy's still in the process of rebooting here. All right. Yeah, fortunately, I can go on and on and on.
Finally, you read it.
Fortunately, I can go on and on. I might be able to do some presentation here. So let me see here. Not a video file, Jason. Would you guys like to watch Jones Plantation? I have it. No.
Movie night?
Let's see.
Read the book to us.
What book?
So I don't have to read it. Okay, right.
What book am I supposed to be reading to you?
This is your Jones Plantation book?
I don't know.
Read Jeremy's book.
What? No, I'm not going to read Jeremy's book because you're supposed to buy Jeremy's book. You're supposed to buy the book.
Only read the first half then. What is it?
Okay. We got Olam. The next word we were going to show was Tav. So I need to get this folder and present it. Let me see. Let me find. There we go. Can anybody see this? Nobody can see this. Let's see. Make that as big as the. Yeah, we might have to wait until. Might have to wait until Jeremy gets back. Nope, it's not coming up. All right, guys. It's a cliffhanger. We're here at an hour and a half. We're waiting for Jeremy to get rebooted. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are, this is a great time for me to jump in and say, hey, like, subscribe to the channel. You know, hit that like button, share this thing. You know, get it out there. All the good stuff. You know what to do. If you're bored, have spare time, come check us out at Green Country Agroforestry. Want to watch some gardening, that sort of thing. Some philosophy lessons. I can't talk. Philosophy lessons with gardening attached. Occasionally, we talk about funny things like the wisdom of the High Father, the Poetic Edda, the Book of the Hopi, the Hebrew alphabet, alchemy, geology, all that good stuff. We're back. Okay, yeah. Let's not share mine. Oh, mine's horrible. My stuff is yeah. Let's stop sharing that.
All right, let me get mine back up. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yours looks better. Yours looks better. Oh my gosh.
My internet went out and I had to reboot it. It was a whole thing. I might have to go let my dogs back in a minute too, but we can continue. I'm glad it continued. I was so oh my God, I cannot believe this.
Mary said, "Oh no, Jeremy's gone." I was like, "Well, that's okay," because I was covering the examples of things that you could put into your circle, into your seal of Solomon to establish your boundaries, other than just the two that we already established or already talked about.
And I'll go back and watch.
And you can go back. Yeah, you can go back and watch it. Hey,
I'm glad it picked up. I'm so happy.
And I didn't describe them in Hebrew because you don't need to know them in Hebrew. Know them in the language you use, because it's a meaning that's important.
Right.
It's not the funny little character that was written by some guy that No, it's the meaning that's important. This one is called Tav, And Tav is it's composed of two characters. One you already know, and the other one you don't. But we're jumping ahead. And Tav is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. It's formed with a dalet and a nun. Dalet's like the fourth letter of the alphabet, but there's nothing really good that we learn day one off of dalet, so I skipped it. But it's dalet and nun together, and you can kind of see the nun in the calligraphy, but not really in the I guess you kind of can over there on the left hand side, kind of like we have what looks like a J character that's fused into an R, like
Right.
the J part, that's nun, or it's supposed to be, and then the R part is not supposed to be a resh, it's supposed to be a dalet. I don't know how we're supposed to tell it from a dalet from a resh because they both look the same to me. I'm just saying, they both look the same to me. Maybe the reason we know is because there aren't any words that have that combination, so that's how you know. Maybe that's it.
Right.
Maybe you know just because there aren't any. But this is Tav, and it makes the T sound. And it means truth. Of course it means truth. Of course it has to mean truth. It could also mean a sign. It could mean life and death. Probably because, I don't know. There are reasons. We're going to worry about truth for right now because we could get way off on it. Dalet, Dalet is means pour, door, or to lift up. If you wanted the meaning for Dalet, but you have I don't know. I'm not sure why they decided that meant truth, but that's what they decided. Who am I to judge?
Right.
At this point, I'm just glad that we can move on to the next word. Oh, the next word is bat, which is formed with a word that with a character we know already. Thank goodness. Bet, a house. We got home. Thank goodness. Someplace is familiar. And then this new word character, Tav, bat is also Bath. You might see it as Bath. Names like Bathsheba would be, of course, quite literally the daughter of Shiva. Daughter of Shiva. Or Sheba, if you don't want to make the B sound v, and then you have to wonder, who's Shiva? And why does Shiva have his daughter? And why is Shiva's daughter the person that David has got the hots for?
Yeah, right.
And if David gets the hots for Shiva's daughter, is this going to turn out horribly? Probably. Probably, yeah.
I wonder if he's going to have to cut the tips off of somebody's penises.
Probably might turn out badly. So this is the word for daughter. We've got the word for mother. Now we have the word for mother and daughter. That's cool. Daughter is in a house too, just like the son's house. Daughter is the house. Son is the one who goes forth and rules out of the house, and the daughter is the one who proves the truth of the house, I suppose. Because, I mean, really, other than seahorses and people who are particularly energetically connected, typically men don't really know. I mean, really know,
right?
Without testing whether or not they're the real father of a child. But the daughter,
mother's baby, daddy's maybe.
Mother's baby, daddy's maybe. Yeah, this is also the reason why, at least in Hebrew culture, they started tracking genealogy through the matron's line, the mother's line. Is because that proves that. I mean, if you really wanted to know, well, the mother's DNA is the mother's DNA. The father, could be, maybe is, maybe isn't. The ish, but what kind of ish? I don't know. Ish is really it just means a people, right?
Right.
You're a man. You're an ish. You're ish. You're ish of some kind. Ish or ilk, if you're Scottish, is of that ilk.
That's what I claim. I'm a mutt.
You're a mutt. Well, yeah, and you see that's the idea of an uncertain parentage is inherent in some of these figures that get presented in the mythology. For example, Moses. He's in a basket. He gets drawn up. He is raised by someone else's daughter. Why is the daughter important? I don't know, but apparently it is, and it's involved in the emet and being pulled up. Oh yeah, we need to get to the word emet. Let's show the word emet.
I'm coming up.
I knew there was something coming up.
So I see Aleph. I see
Emet.
daughter. And I'm trying to remember what the middle one is. And
Tav, but it should be number 11 emet.
Tav. That's it, right?
Let me see. I'm not looking at my screen. That's it. That is it right there. Okay, got it. Okay, that's it. Emmett, Dr. Emmett Brown. Emmett means truth. There we go. Emmett means truth. It ends in Tav. Tav individually means truth. They put the T there. And why is it now everywhere else? Okay, gosh, wait. Everywhere else, whenever they're doing this, oh boy, whenever they're doing this, the first character in the word usually is somehow related to the root character, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. My hat's all weird now. I'm looking in the screen, and the screen's not a mirror, and I'm used to adjusting from a mirror. This is what happens whenever you get used to looking at things backwards, right? Because the mirror shows you the world backwards. You adjust according to the mirror. You're doing it backwards. But that's the way you learned. I do it this, it's not showing me a mirror, and I'm looking at myself backwards. So it's weird. Okay. So here we have the character meaning truth at the end of the word meaning truth instead of the beginning of the word meaning truth. Oh no, what's going on here? Also, you'll notice that the beginning of the word is Aleph, which is the beginning of the alphabet, and the end is Tav, which is the end of the alphabet. So the whole truth is contained within the beginning and the end.
That is true. Separate this from that to get there.
So we have to separate this from that, and with the water to the what was that? Tav, that was the humble learner that's got the dalet, to lift up the humble dalet to the poor humble dalet, I don't know. At some point, whenever you start jamming these things together, I mean, you just have to make some compromises, I guess.
Right.
And it's a shame to have to compromise the truth, but apparently there's something in there that is the reason why they said that was truth. And it made sense to someone at some time. But now we have emet, truth. And this is where we need to talk about golem. All right. And also Chunibyo, because if you're reading in Gershom Sholom's Kabbalah, it's going to talk about a couple of rabbis that sat together for a Shabbat meal every week, and they had a calf that they shared between them, and they made it out of the word. How? What are they talking about? Okay, so a while back you were talking about creation. Well, you mentioned something, and I had said creation ex nihilo. This is in comments on one of your videos. Creation ex nihilo for a human being is possible. It is. But you are going to have to embody and create a ego consciousness mind that holds a differing point of view and have them in opposition with each other. So the reality that you are experiencing is not a reality that anyone else can experience unless they share that same viewpoint, unless they're engaging in Chunibyo with you, essentially, right? So what these rabbis are doing is, in all seriousness, sitting down with, they've got maybe some bread, some milk, maybe some water, a couple herbs, whatever they've got, and they don't have much, so they are going to create with their imaginations the meat that they consume while they have a conversation about divine things and consume their meal together. That's what they're doing. There's no big secret about this. Or there shouldn't be, but there is, because they go like, well, how do they do this? What do you think? Huh? Now imagine if you had an entire community of people that all decide that they want to participate in the same shared delusion. And we're going to decide all together that our streets are made of gold. And that everywhere we walk is suffused with golden light. And we decide to inhabit this delusion. All of us. We all do.
Okay.
To the point where we actually believe it. Every single one of us, we believe that that's what we're experiencing. For us that are sharing this delusion, will be walking on streets of gold. Nobody else will see them, but we'll be walking on streets of gold. So this is kind of interesting. Imagine the world contributing to a creation, harmonizing with a focal point.
If we were all aligned in the right way.
If we were all aligned. Yeah. Now, when in the world are we ever going to get the entire world to align together? Well, not under one single collective, but if we individually align,
right,
to parent-child principle.
I stand in my position.
Each one, maybe a little bit different perspective, but that's what allows us to render a whole reality where I go, I'm with you, brother, but I don't see it exactly like that. You see, I think that this calf is a little bit on the dry side and they should have added more salt. As we are doing like in Hook, the children playing with the imaginary food, essentially. And we make it real in our minds and in the experience that we chose to have by choosing to do this shared viewpoint of a thing that isn't. But whenever you do it inside your own mind, it's called cognitive dissonance. And you're insane. Right. So don't do it.
Not operating in reality, Mr. Jones.
If you want to share a fun time with other people and play a game, you can. And you can keep your childhood wonder and voluntarily play a game with other adults where you create the rules that you live by and you operate by and you have fun. And you can have a world like that. But here's the thing. Of course, the true interpretation is the stone I walk on, it in the image of God. Well, no. You see, here's the entire problem with having an image of God, right? Because you've taken, and this is it, right? Golem. We're going to get to Golem. Remember, I talked earlier. You reach into the ground in the garden, you pull up the clay, you roll it into a snake, you roll it out. You start writing on it on the inside. You're going to write da. This is this and this is that. This is that. This is that. I'm going to define my terms here as I form this coil, this vessel of clay. I formed a vessel of clay, and now I'm going to cause it to live and breathe. Now it lives and breathes. It has the word within it. The word within it, if you're forming a golem, if you're looking at this, the word is, and that's its truth. You put it here on the forehead, not the word I have written on my forehead. I have a different word on my forehead. You cannot get this cap, guys. If you go look, you can't get it. It's not available to you anymore. Forget it. If you wanted to go get it, if you want this, you're going to have to do the work now. The time where you could just go buy one has passed. The company changed its name. They changed its name after I told them. If you want to have truth that can't be erased, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. The word that's written in the forehead of the golem is the word of truth, right? The sorcerer made the vessel of clay and they wrote the word within it. If the word is the word of truth, then everything is fine. But the word is written by a sorcerer. It's not the truth. It's the word that was written by the sorcerer. It's now here in the forehead of the golem, in the mind of the golem. You are the vessel of clay that's been made, coil by coil, bit by bit, word by word, piece by piece. Throughout your entire life, you've been assembled by what you've been told, by what you've believed, by what you've brought in, consumed, made a part of your foundation of belief, part of your foundation of knowledge that you've brought forth into your being and expressed into the world, your physical manifestation, everything. You are the truth that you believe in. You're connected internally to the Father that you are the son of, the child of. Yes?
When you follow.
There's no point in me saying no God. You know God. You know whose father you know who your father is. You know whose child you are. Another question is, are you happy with this? Is the receiving that you are getting from the Father that you are aligned with not what you want? Would you like to change it? There is a way. It can be done. Now, you have word written in you, word inside the vessel of clay that's been put here by a sorcerer. We need to actually fix this. Because here's the problem with being golem. That first letter in golem, Biet, Aleph, stands for what?
This and that, God.
The dividing line between this and that, the ultimate source of all knowledge. If you cut yourself off from knowledge, you have another word. And that word is met.
Huh.
Met means dead. So golem, cut off from knowledge, is dead. May people perish. for lack of knowledge. You understand? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy we're calling Jesus, he's got very important lessons. He's trying to teach you the alphabet, and he's trying to teach you fundamental truth in the way that you can see it, the way you can understand it. And he's doing it at a time whenever the Hebrew language has already stopped being a language. It's a dead language at this point. The children that he's teaching, they learned their scriptures in Greek.
Right.
And their parents sent them to this teacher whose name is not Jesus, but we're calling him Jesus. And it's not Yeshua, but some people call him Yeshua. What it really is doesn't matter. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It really doesn't.
It really does not, because he already told you, Matthew 23, whenever you break that down, he tells you that we are to call no one Father, because we have one Father who's in heaven. We're to call no one Master, because we have but one Master. We call no one Teacher, because we have but one Teacher, even the Christ, even the Anointed One. Only one Teacher. Who is the Teacher? Well, we learned this day one. The Teacher in his house.
Aleph.
The Master in his dwelling. Av is the Father is Teacher. The parent principle is Teacher. How do you know anything? You know by experience. You be the son of the Father that you want to know. It is that simple. It is really that simple.
It really is that simple.
Okay. Emet, truth, you erase the source of all knowledge, it becomes dead. Wouldn't you like to be able to not have it so that someone can erase the Aleph? Huh?
That would be great.
If someone can't get to you to erase your Aleph, then they can't make you dead.
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere. Now we need to go back to Lev, right? The heart. Because the heart is the house of teaching and learning, or Bet Halamed. Bet Halamed. Bet Halamed. The home of the shepherd, the house of teaching and learning, the heart. If the word of law is written in your heart and not on your head, can they erase it from your forehead?
No, they can't.
No, they can't, because it's here.
It's in the
So
heart.
you have the word inside of you. And of course, like I said the last time, it's already been there. Whenever you examine yourself, you realize the law was already in you, because you don't want to be murdered, you don't want to be robbed, you don't want to be slandered, you don't. All these things, none of these things, they apply to you. It's like no. And of course, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. I mean, if there was nobody to stop you from doing what you would do if somebody came up and tried to violate any of the law that is the real law that's within your heart, then, I mean, some of us are capable of a lot of violence. I mean, a lot of violence.
That is true.
And the wages of sin is death. But we form our societies with the hope that we seek higher wisdom, and we have internal alignment and listen to the Father, like the real Father, not the imaginary one, where we create an image. We don't want to create an image. If we create an image, if we go, I'm going to form these ideas into the shape of a man and believe in this image.
What image can hold all of creation?
We have a rendering inside of this construct that we're calling God. We have formed this image in the clay of our internal structure. You see, the idol is inside of you. You made the idol inside of you. Whenever you said, I'm going to remove the physical statue from in front of the altar, and I'm going to secretly worship Yahweh. Yahweh is an idol. It's an idol. You're worshiping an idol. It is idol worship. You've removed the clay statue. You are the clay statue, but you're still worshiping an idol, because Yahweh is I am. Who is your God? I am? Really? Seriously? You are your God? You want us? Okay, that's what you're telling us. This is what you're telling us. Whenever you worship the Yahweh, whenever you worship the Baal, you're worshiping the visualized, conceptualized Son of God, Baal, the beloved of Baal. Same thing with Yahweh. It's just Baal with a different PR campaign. That's all it is.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's Baal with a different PR campaign. And if you're Elijah and you're up there against the priests of Baal, guess what? You're not representing Yahweh. You are not representing Yahweh, and I can guarantee you're not. Because Yahweh does not have the power to do what Elijah did.
There's a lot to dig into in that, but
And yeah, like
a different conversation.
different conversation for a different day. But there's a lot of history that went into giving us that idea that was because it's a name. And everybody wanted a name. You need a name for God. What's the name of your God? What's the name of your God? What's the name of your God? Our God has a name. What's the name of your God? It's like, well, our God doesn't, here's an image of our God. Where's the image of your God? Well, my God does not have an image. And it's not even really my God. It's just God. What do you mean? It's not my God.
It is. I don't
because
know.
In order for it to be my God, I would have to be able to possess it. I can't possess it. I am a created thing.
Yeah.
God is the creator. The pot's not greater than the potter. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
And I tell that to the serpent too. You have to tell that to the serpent whenever you encounter the serpent, and it gives you the full spiel. And whenever you go far enough, you're going to encounter the serpent, and the serpent is going to give you the full spiel. It's going to show you, wow, all kinds of things.
All kinds of things you can
all
do.
kinds of wondrous things. And you're going to have to stand firm and know what you know. And you know that God is really eternal, not something that has a beginning and an end. And, subtlety things here, I'm the beginning and the end sounds kind of like eternity, but it isn't the same as eternity.
No, the eternity has no beginning or no end. That's definitionally eternal.
Correct. The beginning as we would know it would be the moment whenever the separation of what is and what is not began.
Right. When the logos became.
Correct.
Like
Now,
before
the completion,
there was God, and God was infinite and without form.
Right. And complete. Absolutely complete.
Yeah.
There was not something lacking in God from the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
and he decided to become, and so he became the beginning.
Yeah. This is understanding. This is the entirety of understanding. The entire reason why you're sitting there or standing there or walking down the street or riding the bus or about to board a plane or on a plane or about to be told to turn off your device because you're supposed to. So you will right after this. The entire reason that all of this is happening is so that you can have an experience. So you can actually be the one who is having that experience from that viewpoint.
Right.
And there is no invalid experience or invalid viewpoint.
No.
Now, there are some that are superfluous.
Some that are unwise.
Some that are superfluous.
But even then, you learn something.
You go out to the garden, there are a lot of things that do the primary job of holding the soil down so it doesn't erode away. All the grasses do it, all the forbs do it, all the trees do it, the bushes do it. Everything that grows on the ground does it so it doesn't erode away. Even whenever the rain falls on the bare ground and it aligns the minerals of the ground so that they're hard and compacted like it does down there in southwest Texas to you get caliche, right? Even that is doing it so that the soil doesn't erode away. It hardens it to preserve it. Sometimes things are hardened to preserve them, right? Yeah. But life requires the softening and the water to come in because there is no life without the water.
That is absolute truth.
So we know about water now. Met, we know about Tev, the container the water goes in, and of course you can kind of put them together so that one flows into the other if you wanted to, and show that sort of relation. We know about truth. We know about golem. We know that that internal conceptualized reality that we create for ourselves is the code that we're operating on. We are aware that sometimes that code has been supplied to us by people that didn't have our best interests in mind and might have wanted to give us a code or a set of instructions that we follow blindly without even thinking about it for the purposes of enriching themselves.
Yes.
And this is it goes on in our society all the time. You are the genie in the bottle, in the vessel. Okay, I'm going to give you the riddle of the djinn. Do you know the riddle of the djinn? The vessel of clay with the fire within?
I mean, I do.
You do now.
I didn't.
If you think about that, what is the fire within?
Well, that would be the spirit.
That was the spirit, the jinn, the thing that gives you the imaginings, the information
That
that's
would be the
delivered to
soul.
you.
Like the
Well,
fire and the soul are different. The soul is more
They come in, and if you ask it, what is this thing that gives me these ideas that seem to come to me out of nowhere? What are you? And it answers and tells you in English, I'm a jinn.
interesting.
It does. It says, imagine. Because what is it? It is taking that intellect and transforming it through spirit in the vessel of clay, which is now interfaced with the physical reality to make a manifest reality. This is, how does fire stir clay? Well, it does it every day, right? Whenever one stops and asks within, where did this idea come from? I'm a jinn. There we go. I
Very
think,
interesting.
is that good for this week?
Yeah, I think that'll do us. Like we did great. Like I didn't because internet, but like, fastest internet in the
Hey,
country.
here's one of the nice things about hosting a show is you don't have to spend the entire thing talking and carrying the darn thing. And
Right?
isn't that great? Yeah,
It is wonderful. It is.
I hate doing shows because I have to do the entire thing myself. And you already know, so I fumble with the buttons and I don't do good presentation. Yeah,
like I've got to have something to keep me pointed, or else I just won't talk. Like I'm the quietest person you'll ever. Like I'm so direct. Like my entire channel is focused. My entire is a big word, but one of the focuses of my channel is to help me be more informative, right? Because I'm a very much a yes, no. Like I don't explain. I'm just like yes. Yeah. And that's the whole sentence.
I'm wondering if that has to do with the aphantasia. If part of the reason why you really like to have
I think
precise speech,
has more to do with the MBTI side of things.
You think?
Like, I changed MBTI. Like you cannot find what is in here anywhere else. The way that I do it is completely different than anybody else. But it breaks down to 5 questions, right? And these 5 questions are and they're simple. Do you focus on things or do you focus on ideas? You focus on one or the other. Right. Is it a new one or an old one? Right? Do you do that for yourself or for someone else? Yeah. Do you have to control the situation or are you flexible around the situation? And are you direct or are you informative? Yeah. Direct is you answer in as little as you can, and informative is that you're off at the mouth. And it is one of these 5 things.
Right.
And the way that it breaks down is exactly into the different types in exactly the right way. And so I found direct correlation. And like it really does work. Like even on a superficial level, like you don't have to have my level of understanding. If you understand that some people focus on things and some people focus on ideas, that opens up the conversation in ways that you didn't consider before. Right. If you focus on ideas, I focus on things, we're not having the same conversation. But once I realize that you focus on ideas, I can shift the conversation towards ideas. And so now we can get together and we can get to a common ground. Right. That's what MBTI does for me. Right. We can look, this guy's very much things, I'm very much ideas, like very much ideas. And so to find that common ground, I find the flexibility in myself, but I'm a flexible person. So it's really
Elvis Presley. Hey, I know Angel wants somebody to do an Elvis Presley impression over here.
I don't be cruel. Mm-hmm. Heart, that's true.
I don't need no other love. Baby, it's just you. I'm
Sing it up.
Yeah. Don't be cruel now, Mama.
I can do that. The sneer as well. All right, well, Jason, I appreciate you being on. I'm going to go ahead and do the wrap up. And
all right,
that's going to bring us to the end of the podcast for today. I thank you all for tuning in. If you like what we're doing over here, let us know down below. Give a like, share, a follow, throw a comment, whether you agree or disagree with anything that was said. As long as it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. A key thing to remember is that neither one of us claim to be a master in anything. We are merely adepts on a path, and we are hoping to show other people the way that we found our path. You may not be on the same path, but maybe our paths are close enough that we can be of assistance to one another. If we keep our focus where it should be on the creator of all things, we should come out to the destination. If you really like what's going on over here, let me know. Hit me with a super thanks. Consider joining for a membership or picking up a copy of my book where I teach people how to do magic responsibly. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way that you are. And this has been Biet's Tape. Peace.
Booyah!